Okay, Brian, you can go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I want to welcome everybody to the St. Catharines Heritage Advisory Committee meeting for July the 30th, 2026. The time is now 2:34, according to my clock. We begin this gathering by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Acknowledging this reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendship of the Indigenous people. Uh, do we have any additions or deletions to be made to the agenda?
No, I'm not aware of any.
Okay. So that being said, can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Rachel, thank you. And all in favor? Okay. Uh, I guess we should be considering the minutes of the previous meeting from June the 25th. Do we have any questions, comments, changes to be made? Not seeing any, then I guess we need a motion to adopt the minutes. Lorraine, thank you. And all in favor? Okay, that's done. Do we have any declarations of interest for today? Not seeing any. Okay. So business at hand, item 7.1, one Considine, an additional dwelling unit. So we have, I guess, this is here to impress us.
I believe Davis, you're here, right?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Davis. Will you be presenting the application?
Yes, me and Karen will be.
Okay, great. Well, everything's up on the screen now. Hopefully, everybody can see that. So I'll just go through the images and the plans that you've provided, and you can just explain the application to the group.
Okay, great. Thank you.
If you want to speak to what you see on the screen, Davis or Karen, that'd be great.
Can't see it.
Okay.
Just a sec. Oh, I see it now. You want to go ahead, Davis?
Yes, sure. This is the additional dwelling unit that will be building at One Considine. It's just under 400 square feet. That's a picture of the outside there. Yep, the next one is that's the location in the behind the original unit where we're hoping to build. That is another picture of the location, and that's the shed that we'll be removing. That is a tree in the back behind the unit. Possibly will remove or keep there depending on um, the city's approval, Heritage's approval too as well with the old tree there. The garden here could be changed too and updated. We're not too worried about the landscaping now. That's the elevation drawing for the ADU, and yeah, that's the new they do have a sliding door in the back for this ADU, but I believe there's just a normal opening door. So we were hoping to maybe get a minor variance for that opening. So it could be a sliding door at the back, just to give a little bit more open space and room for the ADU. That's all the specs on it there though. If all the plans that were pre-approved from the city of St. Catharines. These are built by Andrew Zuck at Backyard Homes, which the city has vouched for and vetted on these sort of projects. Next slide is fine. This is the floor plan for the ADU at One Considine. So it's pretty open space. It's a great living space for a couple or whoever wants to live there. It's roomy. I've been into condos that are 400 square feet before, and this seems like a good floor plan. Open concept kitchen, bedroom there, and main living room. So laundry room and bathroom, utility closet. So it's a lot of space for storage and whatnot. So I think it's proper living space. And Karen, did you want to add anything?
No, I think you covered it all. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Yes, we can. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And that's back to number one. Yeah, slide number one. That's a outside rendered picture of the ADU. So it's quite appealing too, I would say. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Do we have any questions or comments about the proposal? Mark?
Yeah, is the question of the tree and the sliding door something that we are looking at today, or?
So typically, the sliding door would be it is part of the proposed design, and it sounds like they do need a variance to be able to make that happen. But typically, what we do is we'll go through the heritage permit process and approve, whatever we feel that should be approved, and then that goes to the heritage or to the committee of adjustment. And if there are any tweaks that need to be made, because maybe the committee of adjustment says no, we won't allow the sliding door, we can make those tweaks. Staff are able to do that. But essentially, in principle, the committee here can approve the project, and any tweaks that need to happen down the road, staff can take care of. And then in terms of the tree, typically we don't worry too much about heritage permits for trees. There might be other concerns related to it, related to privacy or to the age of the tree and stuff like that. I'm not sure what the committee of adjustment will require from Davis and Karen, but typically it's not something that we have too many concerns about from a heritage perspective. But the committee could certainly say, we'd prefer to see the tree retained, and we can include that in the motion if we'd like. But obviously, there might be other concerns that need to be factored in. I'm not sure where the tree is compared to the layout as well. I could maybe put that on the screen, or maybe Davis or Karen could speak to that.
Okay.
I'll just
Yes, the tree's actually pretty far away from where we want the ADU, so I think it's doable to leave the tree.
We
Karen,
did
what
speak
do
to
you
the
think?
Yeah, we spoke to the city of St. Catharines to see if we needed a permit to take down the tree, and that wasn't regarding it being in a heritage area, but they said we don't have to have a permit to cut down the tree if it's necessary. So it really is more as they get into the details of the building to see if it will affect anything like underneath the ADU, or I guess drainage or something like that.
Maybe drainage, yeah.
Okay.
We're saying.
Andrew, you had a question?
Yeah, just to address that first, obviously, I'd love to see as many trees kept as possible, but that's not really a heritage consideration. So,
Yeah, we'd like to keep it too. Yeah.
in terms of the back door, again, I don't really see that as a heritage issue. It's on the back of the building. It's sort of out of the way. And I just, beyond that, I just had a simple comment that I think that, increasing density is something that's happening everywhere, and it's pressure in a heritage area. And this is one of the more guideline friendly ways of doing it relative to some of the other ones that we've seen. So I think this is a good approach, and I think the guidelines were considered in the design. So I appreciate that. And
Okay.
I would support this approach for sure. And this
Okay.
application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments? And if not, then I guess we need a motion to approve the proposed additional dwelling on Considine.
I'm happy to make that motion.
Thank you, Andrew. And all in favor? Okay, done.
Great.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks,
Sure.
Karen and Davis, for attending, and I'll be in touch tomorrow about next steps.
Okay, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
James.
Yep.
Have
Take
a
care.
great day. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Moving on to item 7.2, 22 Norris. We have a grant application. I assume Pam is here to make a presentation.
Yes, I believe Pam is here. Pam, I'm not sure if you're speaking or not, but we can't hear you at the moment. It was showing you as muted, and now you're not muted, so. Not sure if you're trying to speak, Pam, but unfortunately we can't hear you yet.
The wonders of technology, eh?
Yeah, where everybody's having technology issues today. Pam, I don't know if you want to try to maybe sign off and then sign back in. Perhaps that might help.
She has a note. There's a note in chat saying she's going to try and call back on her phone.
Okay, sounds good. We can wait a minute or two just for that to happen.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Hi, Pam.
I'm
Hi.
gonna get out of this other. Sorry. Okay, hi.
Hi, Pam. I'm gonna put everything up on the screen. Hopefully you'll see it in a second.
Okay.
And then
Sure.
and then you can just speak to each of the images that come up as they come up. So you
Yeah,
can go
sorry
ahead.
about that. I have no idea what was happening with my computer. Never has happened before, so I don't know.
That's okay. You can go ahead though, Pam.
I think it has, I don't know if it has anything to do with the flood, but oh boy. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Pamela Haynes. I'm the owner of 22 Norris Place. That is the property that is on the left of the image there that you see. The left, which is, I consider it south, but I think it's the west portion of the duplex. The duplex was built in 1860, and it is a stucco clad with a cement foundation. So that's a modern day picture of it as it stands. Okay, this is the rendering that the contractor that we've decided to use has given us. And it's a two-dimensional rendering. I'm gonna ask for a cross-sectional. So I'll just on the drawing actually is about the retaining wall that needs to be redone, as well as an adjacent set of stairs that is visible from the actual frontscape. So the existing retaining wall that I'm talking about is located immediately adjacent to the foundation of the heritage home. And this has experienced a lot of deterioration, significant deterioration, in fact. And if the wall continues to fail, it can actually allow the soil supporting the adjacent driveway and surrounding area to shift and continue to erode. And it would actually place lateral pressure on the support and the nearby foundation. You can see there in the picture, it might be a little bit difficult to tell, but the existing retaining wall is constructed with railroad ties. They used that a lot in the 80s and 90s, and you can see it kind of leaning. So you can see in that picture that James just put up, the one I think before, maybe just before James, you can see how close that is with that, with the top view. And a car basically parks on the top, and if it failed, the car could end up below. I mean, it's only 3 feet high, but it still is very structurally important. So the overall wall increases, like the risk of this erosion increases the risk of water infiltration, soil movement, and settlement, and it can actually directly impact this historic structure just because it's either attached and or adjacent. We won't know until we actually open that up. And you'll see from another slide that the existing foundation for the retaining wall is brick. You'll see that on the bottom. So that it's a little bit hard to maybe see close up, but that existing foundation right now is a brick wall. And as of now, it looks like it has integrity to it, but until we actually open it up and see what's behind the aluminum siding, what they're hiding, and etc., we won't know for sure. But rebuilding this wall and retaining the wall in a manner that's sympathetic of the heritage character will be very important. And it'll also restore an important streetscape feature. As you can see, the stairs are directly related, and they're directly visible from the public roadway. I did provide an estimate. I think everyone had access to the estimate. I don't know if I need to go through it or not. Do you generally go through the estimate, or do you want me to just provide some highlights?
If you'd like to provide highlights, you can. Everybody will have seen the estimate. It was circulated as part of the package.
Okay. So basically, it involves removal of the current infrastructure, and it goes back all the way to the back, past where the car would park, like partway through to where the car would park, and what else? A lot of the pictures have already been shown. This is an actual rendering of what it could look like. It's not definitely like that was just an example. And what else do I want to point out that you might not have seen? The idea is to come up with something that is obviously timeless, like with the railing there, that's timeless. The one that is there right now is basically caving in. I'm going to summarize the overall project for the intents and purposes of time. So the emphasis of this project is not for landscaping improvement, but like obviously while the retaining wall is a site feature, its primary function is to retain soil immediately adjacent to the foundation of the heritage dwelling. Because its continuing deterioration presents a risk to the stability of the surrounding ground, drainage is very important. So that the way this, like right now, there's no drainage. And ultimately, this will impact the long-term preservation of the designated structure. Also, number 2 is deferred maintenance. This will make future repairs obviously less invasive. And completing this work now is obviously a preventative conservation measure. Delaying the replacement until the structural component of this wall continues to deteriorate could require a more invasive process to this historic feature of this home and the historic building. Also, water management is very important. We know that there was a flood. It affected my property right to that lower part that you can see where the lower stairs are on the left, which won't be done in this because it's not part of this. But yeah, so the water management is very important. And water is one of the biggest problems with heritage properties. I'm sure you've heard about in the past. So the failing, if this structure is to continue to fail, the wall will no longer adequately manage the soil and water adjacent to this property. Even further to what I have is going to obviously be an issue. So that's another thing. Public safety is also another issue. So if the wall continues to deteriorate, the stairs are also attached. That'll present an increasingly important safety concern for residents, visitors, passerbys if they decide to come to the building. And also preserving the historic setting. So the retaining wall, the stairs and the entrance to the property are very important to the historic setting, and reconstructing these elements using materials and details that are compatible with the historic nature and character will preserve the property's visual integrity. And lastly, the work that I'm proposing is conservative, not modernization, or it's not intended to be that. It's intended to replace a failed system, basically, with a durable design that respects the historic nature of this. And it also supports the city's investment in terms of historic nature for this committee. So it encourages a proactive stewardship of designated heritage properties. And what else? I just want to say also, although the retaining wall serves an important structural function, it's also a predominant streetscape feature. Like you couldn't see it from the picture because there was a car parked there. But its reconstruction will enhance the appearance of the heritage property while protecting the building it supports. So overall, fundamentally, the project is about a long-term preservation of the heritage property. The retaining wall is not an isolated landscape feature. It performs a critical structural function immediately adjacent to the foundation of the designated home. Replacing it before further deterioration occurs is a proactive conservation measure that protects the historic building from soil movement, water infiltration, and potential structural impacts, while obviously restoring an important element of the property's historic setting. So overall, the proposed work balances structural necessity with heritage conservation by using materials and details that are compatible with the character of the home. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Pam. Lorraine, I think I saw your hand up first.
Yeah, and I apologize. My chat feature is not working today. So, Pam, you've really stressed the landscape, the heritage aspect from the road as well as a feature of the house. Do you have any pictures at all that show what this looks like from the street?
I tried to get a picture. I tried to get some pictures. I can provide maybe more pictures. But generally the car is parked there. And I had that one picture. I'm not sure if,
I'm gonna put something on the screen right now from Google Street View.
Oh, thanks, James.
Unfortunately, this is from 2016, so
okay, thanks.
this is as good as it's gonna get. Unfortunately, Google hasn't seemed to go down more since then, but you can see it right here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Holly, I think you were next.
Audio on. Thank you, Pam, for the presentation. I just, I'm a little bit concerned. A couple of things, maybe that your contractor is missing out on. I have a lot of friends that live on Salina Street, Yates Street. They have basement apartments and they have drains. I don't see any drains in your pictures. I see no drains. I see no type of water. Eavesdropping, drains at the bottom. I know they have basement apartments with stairs, and they said they always have to make sure their drains are cleared due to rainwater. I don't see any drains.
Drains, in the what area, like in front of the
Well,
doors?
you showed a picture of stairs, and water is going to go down from your driveway down the stairs into the bottom. I don't see any drains.
There's a drain.
The new picture from your contractor.
Do you mean the rendering, Holly?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, my understanding is that the drainage, there'll be drainage built into this process. They backfill with, as per the contractor's estimate, they will backfill with stone, and the drainage will take place towards the west side, or the south, I call it south, which is to the right of that picture there.
This is going into an apartment?
No, the apartment's to the left. So there is an apartment on the left.
At the bottom staircase.
There's a drain on the bottom of the staircase. And right now, that's one of the issues. That's another issue that's separate. Like that's not part of this. But the drainage of this system is part of this. So.
Okay, I just have a problem with has your contractor guaranteed this work? Is he going to give you a guarantee on this retaining wall and interlocking brick?
Yeah, and in fact, I should mention too that I'm actually also going to have an engineer. I'm contracting an engineer to do a drawing and make sure that this is done properly. So I should also state that.
And Holly, it does look like, and I realize it's not a great image, but I believe that might be a drain. Pam, could you correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah, that is a drain right there.
Yeah.
That is a drain. And just to answer your question, that is another issue that I'm dealing with right now, but it's separate. Like that's something I'm also dealing with in addition to, yeah. Like
we're talking a lot about you're doing this to improve your driveway. I was taking some notes while you were talking. You were talking about soil movement and improving your driveway from eroding. I built a retaining wall with interlocking bricks and similar to your sketch that your rendering is. And 5 years ago, and it's shifted and moved. It's not going to be guaranteed that this is going to be the solution. Have you looked at other contractors maybe getting quotes like pouring concrete or doing it with a solid concrete retaining wall?
I have had other quotes. Yeah, I've had 4 quotes, but also it's very expensive, and I'm trying to kind of balance, and does anyone know that contractor that I'm proposing? Has anyone worked with that contractor?
No.
I mean, my understanding is that that contractor also owns Saint Amon's yard, so their reputation's on the line for Niagara if they don't do a good job.
Were the contractors available to come today?
I didn't know that I should offer to have the contractors come to the meeting, but
Yeah, and
yeah.
Lorraine, that's on me as well. I didn't ask for
Okay.
the contractor to attend. So we typically haven't had the contractors attend for grants. So, but I understand that maybe there's some questions that they'd be able to answer.
Mhm.
I mean, I can find out answers to questions.
James, how does this grant work for like a driveway retaining wall to for heritage enhancements, heritage
Yeah.
character of the heritage character of the home?
Yeah, so in the grant program, there is the ability to, and I think I pulled out just the sentence that kind of addresses structural issues. So work to restore buildings to structural soundness is eligible, including the correction of serious structural faults which threaten the building's survival, but does not include routine maintenance. So I don't think the retaining wall would be considered routine maintenance because it is a pretty extensive and costly kind of process to go through. And then from a structural perspective, oh, I stopped sharing my screen. So let me put the image back up. The concern from a heritage perspective to me is that if this retaining wall were to fail, what happens then to the foundation here? Or, if you have a car, because they only have one parking spot here, if, it were to fail and the car were to fall into the side here, like what happens then, right? So do you end up having bigger issues potentially with the heritage building? So I think that's, even though it's not directly, a structural issue with the building, it's a structural issue that's so close to the building that it could potentially have an impact. So that's where it's kind of a gray area, sort of, but that's essentially how I viewed potentially the application. Does that help, Lorraine? Or I'm not sure if that was Lorraine or Holly who asked that question, but
Thank you.
And you can see thank you, James. And you can see in that picture, the wood is rotting in the picture if you get a close up on that. Yeah, so that started to be taken out. And then in terms of the siding, I'm not exactly sure what's behind that because it hasn't been revealed yet, but hopefully I'm not opening a whole can of worms. But yeah, like the main thing is the proximity to the foundation. That's the whole thing. That's the crux of it. And it sort of is either attached or right beside. It's adjacent to. So I want to do it right. I mean, I could have not done the retaining wall at all and just ignored it, but when I do things, I like to do them right. I don't like to do them twice. I'm certainly going to, now that you mention about, I forget who mentioned about the guarantee, but certainly, yeah, like this isn't something I want to repeat again. So, yeah, it's really important to do it right when I do things. I've done a number of projects in the past and I don't like to do them twice. So.
Andrew, I think you were next.
oh, Andrew, you're muted.
Sorry, why don't you go to Mark first? I think I know what he's going to ask, but I'd like to hear the answer to that.
Okay, a couple points. One, what's the immediate risk of the foundation against the wall right now? if you say there's draining issues, and it drains to the west, then there's no issue with draining there at the moment. The real risk is the failure of the retaining wall falling into the basement foundation and potentially damaging it, right? That's the main thing.
And sorry, and water. There is no water. There is no drainage right now, proper drainage. There was
So
never
what you might be uncovering, you said you didn't want to get open up a can of worms, but you just might once you dig down to the foundation. If water has been an issue, you have water coming in from your driveway. Is that right? That's right.
It's potential, yeah.
Oh, okay. You
Hasn't
might
been
have to do some serious foundation work. You said it was concrete built in 1860, but I'm not too sure about that. It would probably be stone.
It was rebuilt in 1935, but yeah.
Okay. And another thing is, if you have a problem with your drain down at the entryway, that would be the first thing you would need to do before you take on this project. Because if that is not fixed, you're going to have water piling up, right, into that foundation, your newly constructed foundation or retaining wall, right?
Yeah.
I have to dig down right to that level.
I am.
Below.
Yeah, I am looking into that now. Like that's something I'm doing right now.
I think that's first thing. Fix that issue before, because that you'll have to potentially tear apart what you just did again if you wanted to wait for that. The drainage issue. Basically.
That's the drain issue is either going to be, as far as I understand, it could be as simple as just a snake because a lot of leaves gather in that area. So it could just be like simple snake and a camera to see what's happening from what I've been told. So that will taking place in the next week.
Yeah, and it looks like the brick there is going to remain because you said
it is.
Down. I would like to see what's in behind that siding too. Like, is it brick? Is that structurally sound too? And really, what is the issue? Is the exposed rotted railroad ties that could be replaced without doing a large restoration, right? And you can put the drainage, remove the gravel, put drainage in to the west like you're planning on anyway. You might not have to do so extensive.
I don't think that I don't think the drainage per se, like I think the drainage will be directed towards the fence, but there won't be drainage directly like visible to the west. It's just that it's going to lead that way.
I still do think it's important to figure out what the drainage issue is at the entryway, the basement entrance first before you take on this project.
There was actually no drainage issue until just recently. Like there in that area, there was no visible drainage until we got a bucket of water in the last few days. So there was no direct impact on drainage on that.
Right, because you said that's been a problem and that you still need to address. It seemed like it was a longer.
I just mentioned that because of the recent issue that we had with the water. And some water did get over the lip of the side there with the recent rain.
Oh, and that was it. You haven't had issues before that?
Not directly, no, that were that profound. Not until very recently. So and maybe just a little bit in the back, in the very back of the home. There was a little bit that got into an area in the back recently, before the last rainstorm.
Okay. Yeah. That I'm just thinking if that is an issue, that needs to be figured out first and foremost, because like everything you do, the new work might be at risk too if there's not proper drainage down there as well as up top.
I'm not sure if Brian is back yet. He's been kind of coming and going. I think he's having internet issues. But just Andrew, you were next up though, just in case Brian isn't able to point to you. And you're muted again.
Sorry about that. My internet's working, not my brain. Yeah, sorry. As I expected, Mark addressed what I wanted to talk about, but with more knowledge and panache than I have. So well done.
Brian, are you back? I'm not sure if you're. Okay, Rachel.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to point out, I know we've been talking about drainage on the lower level, which isn't part of this grant, but the estimate that was provided does mention drainage in the retaining wall construction section. So it speaks to backfilling the retaining wall with clear drainage stone and also installing a filter cloth between the drainage stone and the soil to prevent soil migration and maintain proper damage. So at least as far as this grant application and the scope is concerned, there are some items on the estimate that do speak to drainage. I know we've been primarily focused at what happens at the bottom of the stairs, which is outside of the scope of this, but drainage was contemplated in the estimate. I just wanted to bring that to people's attention.
Yes, thank you.
I've pulled up the quote, and I'm just.
Yeah, it's under you've got it, James. Yeah, that section there, it does deal. It might elsewhere. That was just the one thing that I.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Memory remembered from when I read this the first time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, Rachel. And the other thing is that the drainage for this project will actually go the opposite way. It's not supposed to go towards the house. That would be insane.
Yeah.
For any drainage to go towards the house. And it's supposed to go towards the fence, which is away from the building.
Mm-hmm.
So this shouldn't impact that whatsoever.
Looks like Brian's still not back yet. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Lorraine?
Sorry, again, no chat. To me, it seems like the appearance of the fence from the streetscape is really a minor part of this because really you can't see much except for the fence part, and you're replacing the fence with like it looks like a steel fence, so it's not the same aluminum, so it's not the same design at all. So I think that's a minor part of it. So I think that the thing that I'm debating in my mind is the part that you had said, James, about the structural piece. So is it that we can give you money towards this renovation of this retaining wall on the idea that sorry, I'm just slowly thinking about this, on the idea that it will disintegrate or fall apart or reduce the heritage aspect of the house? Is that really kind of is that the grounds that the Heritage Advisory Committee can give you funding for, James?
Yeah, I think to me that's where that's the issue. The primary issue, in my opinion, is and where the grant should kick in is where the structural issues are. The appearance, I mean, it's definitely an attractive design, but it's not as important as what the long-term impact could be of the structural issues, right? So, how much, like, we'd have to get an itemized. We didn't get an itemized quote, so Pam would have to get that for us in terms of what the cost would be, of the railings versus the actual structural issues. My guess is the structural issues will probably cost a good portion of the quote that we were given. So we can kind of earmark 5,000, but then also, depending on how the quote comes back to us, we can then allocate funds accordingly. But that's certainly an option.
So I guess I'm just thinking, is that design what we would expect, and Mark probably knows the answer to this as well, what we would expect from someone trying to maximize the structural integrity? Or is the design just partly for appearance's sake? Because really that walkway piece has nothing to do, if we look at the appearance of it, it has nothing to do with the structural heritage. It has nothing to do with the heritage aspect. That's how I see it. It has not, it has nothing to do with that. So the design you chose is neither here nor there in terms of the heritage aspect of that building, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So is that so that's what I'm really pondering right now. I'm trying to make up my mind about that.
Yeah. So obvious, yeah. So that's a great question. And so it is the structural integrity of the building that is first and foremost, and the appearance was just an add-on. And I just mentioned that because you can see it from the street. However,
only the railing
big issue that I mentioned right from the get-go is the fact that it's right against the existing foundation, and I want to do it properly. I've fixed a number of issues in the past. I have done them, I always do it right. I don't do it part way. And I'm obviously concerned enough about this building that I don't want to repeat this. So that's why I'm contracting an engineer to make sure it's done properly, to get engineered drawings for the contractor to follow as well.
So my suggestion is, at this point, what I'm just thinking is maybe we should wait until you get those engineers' drawings, if possible. That's what I would propose at this point.
Yeah, the engineered drawings are like, this is slated to happen. I have to kind of time it. Slated to happen at the end of August. And my understanding is that I won't be able to and I have to do it before obviously the frost comes in. So it's all a timing issue.
So Lorraine, what we could do, if we wanted to make that a condition on the approval, and we'll let Andrew and Rachel chime in as well, because maybe they have thoughts on this issue. We can make that a condition that staff can take care of. So I can review any sort of drawings that come in. What we'd also, I think, want to do is get more of an itemized list of costs, to be able to fully, because the full cost is 16,000. But what percentage of that is actually geared towards the structural issues? That's obviously a concern. And so we can get that itemized list and make sure that that the funds are being allocated appropriately in that case. And then the other option is that because I think there was discussion about, could the contractor come and chat with us and chat with the group and describe what's going on? Obviously, Pam would like to get the work done by end of August. We do have another meeting at the end of August, and we could defer it to our next meeting's August 27th. And if Pam was willing to wait till early September to get her work started, that might be an option for everybody to be able to have that conversation to better understand the structural issues and be able to move forward. So I'll throwing a bunch of different options out there for everybody to consider. But I don't know if Brian's back yet, but I think Andrew is next in line.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, there we are. Okay. Brian, you can choose between Rachel and Andrew.
I think Andrew's hand has been up longer.
All right.
I'm feels lucky to be picked first, but just to follow up on that point, it's a valid point that if an engineer is going to come in and take a look at this, there is the potential that there are significant changes as a result of the engineer's perspective. And I think maybe the thing to do is to put in, potentially an approval with the condition that if in James's judgment the changes there are changes requested that are sufficient, that it comes back in August. But if it's no changes or minor changes, that Pam's clear to go ahead. That's one suggestion. And I just want to, your other point, Lorraine, I just want to be clear that I'm understanding you. Was your point that the elements of this work that are protective of the building and therefore the heritage elements are worthy of support through the grant, whereas some of the elements that are non-heritage design related aren't really qualifying? Is that what you were thinking?
I'm thinking that the decorative pieces, like my point was that that design doesn't matter to us in really, and it's not something that we should be paying for. I think what we should be paying for is what protects the heritage value of that home.
Yeah.
And so, and I guess I have questions that have been raised by listening to Mark, as well as everybody else talking about, what does that design do to protect the structural elements of that heritage building? And I do support that us helping with that, the structural integrity of the building.
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yep. No,
Okay,
that's
good.
what I thought, but I wanted to make sure I was
Yeah.
understanding you correctly. And I would just say that looking at the quote, I would guess that a pretty high percentage of it would apply to the structural stuff.
I would guess so too.
It is,
Mhm.
yeah. Can I mention something as well? Out of the 4 quotes I got, it was another aluminum railing was quoted, and it was like a couple $1,000s. It was like maybe 2,500. So it's a very small portion of the actual cost. And the other thing I wanted to also mention, it was in one of the pictures, is there's a tree to the south side of the property that it's actually considered more of a weed. It was in one of the pictures, and that's another element that I need to have removed, because I think that much of what's happening here is that it's like a Manitoba maple or something, and a lot of the roots are getting into the underneath the stairs / retaining wall, and you probably noticed in the picture as well, the stairs are no longer to code. They're all wobbly, and they are not even 7 inches in height in terms of risers. So the system is a part and parcel together as a whole, and it's deteriorating overall. So it's directly adjacent to the building, and it all needs to be addressed. So yeah, it's a big, I didn't even mention the tree, but that's another thing I have to, it's not really a tree, like I said, it's not high enough to be considered issue in terms of a permit removal, but it does need to be taken out to complete this job. That wasn't even in the quote.
Not sure if Brian is. Oh, Brian, you good?
I'm here. I was just
Okay.
waiting to see if Andrew had any further comments to make. If not, then I guess we go to Rachel.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to say I agree with the comments being raised about having an engineer determine the necessity. I'm sure they will agree that it is necessary work in terms of the retaining wall aspects. And I also agree, I think it was James who suggested getting an estimate that's just a bit more broken down. The estimate is already divided in terms of the description of work, and I think just attaching dollar values to something like the demo and site preparation and the retaining wall construction in particular. And I think we all are guesstimating, I think probably rightly, that will be a bulk of the estimate, but it would be nice to have that so we can determine where the funds are going. And just one other side comment, I just wanted to say I appreciated in the materials section of your application how you pointed out using like salvaged reclaimed stone as opposed to new materials and making effort to keep the heritage elements, even though I know they're not visible. I just wanted to say I appreciated that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. Do you have any other questions or comments?
So behind the scenes, I've created a motion, and we can finesse it if we'd like, but hopefully this kind of addresses the concerns. I'll put that up in a sec. So hopefully that's big enough on your screen. Oops. So essentially what it says is that the St. Catharines Heritage Advisory Committee recommends approval of the grant for 22 Norris Place in the amount of $5,000 with the condition that a structural engineer submit information related to the retaining wall to be submitted to staff, along with an itemized list of required work and associated costs. Does that cover what we were thinking?
One of the things we had mentioned, and I don't know if we can put this in the motion or not, was that that the structural integrity of the building is what we are supporting. Any repairs that increase the structural integrity of the building should be listed, should be included, should be explained. I'm just thinking, because of the questions we've had about the structural integrity and why this is important, which we understand why it's important, but that this is the proper way to protect the structural integrity.
Let's see. I've tried to add something there, Lorraine. And associated costs related to the structural integrity of the retaining wall and its impact on the residents. And its potential impact on the residents.
Potential, yeah.
Yeah. Residents, if not repaired.
Right. I like that.
Can I ask a question? So would a structural engineer like a statement addressing these concerns would that suffice?
Yeah, Pam, I think what you would do is, so you mentioned that you were going to get a structural engineer involved. So whatever they're able to provide to me, obviously they'll provide something and I can review it. And if I need more information, I can get in touch with them and just say, could you, answer this question or, fill in this gap? And I'm happy to work with you and your structural engineer to kind of make sure that that information is provided to us. But yeah, I'm here to work with you on it to try to satisfy this condition.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much.
Does anybody else have anything they'd want to see added or changed as part of the motion?
I just want to make sure that the costs and related to the structural integrity of the retaining wall and its potential impact on the residents if not repaired is from the engineer and not just alongside the itemized list from the contractor. Right.
Yeah. How about I move?
And it's risk to the if any risk to the existing residents.
Okay, I'm going to try to finesse something and see if that works. I keep using the word finesse as if I'm being careful with it. I don't know why. Okay, I've only moved one sentence around, but I'm hoping that this meets your intent, Mark. So I moved the last sentence up. So it says, with the condition that a structural engineer submit to staff information related to the retaining wall and its potential impact on the residents if not repaired, along with an itemized list of required work and associated costs related to the structural integrity of the retaining wall.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that was implied before, but now it's a bit more specific. So
yeah,
I'm
the
okay.
itemized list might not be from the engineer, so that would.
Oh,
No, the itemized list, because this is supposed to be an itemized list of costs. So maybe okay, hold on. The contractor. So we get an itemized list of required work from the engineer, and associated costs from the contractor related to the structural integrity of the retaining wall.
Yeah, because that might change a few things. If she wants to do it correctly, with the engineer's drawings, the quote might change after this too.
Mm-hmm. So does this work then, Mark? Is this kind of the intent, what you're thinking?
I think that's what I was thinking. What about everyone else?
so is information too vague that the engineers submit to staff information related to the retaining wall?
So I think for me, this allows it to be vague enough where it actually allows them to provide various different information. So it could be plans, it could be a letter, it could be whatever they're able to. It could be an email, right? As long as I feel that we're on the right path, then it kind of opens the door for them to provide whatever they're able to. So I'd kind of prefer that it be a little
Okay.
broad like that, and I'll make sure that that it's taken care of.
And if it isn't, I know you'll go back to them. So, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if there are any gaps, or if I have any questions, then I will, I'll ask the engineer to clarify.
Okay,
I have one
Uh,
we're fine.
question.
Instead of using the word information, could you use specifications?
Yeah,
Just specific. Yep.
Yeah, I thought information was just a bit too broad.
Okay.
Specifications.
good.
I just have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just reading up about grants for heritage, and it says typically the grant can be approved if the property is designated under the Ontario Heritage Act. Is this address registered?
Yeah, this is a Part 5 address. So this is in the Yates Heritage District, Holly.
Okay. Well, I know some people deny they don't actually have it registered.
No, this one is under Part 5. So because it's part of the Heritage District, we're in good shape there.
I like the wording of the motion myself. So, should we take a vote on it?
Yep, we can do that.
If the discussion has ended about it, does somebody want to make the motion? John Crawley, thank you. And all in favor?
Okay.
And I think that's done.
Yeah, looks like it. So Pam, thanks for attending, and I'll be in touch tomorrow, and we can talk about
Okay.
next steps.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Pam.
Thanks.
Whew. Moving on to Holly.
Just
Question?
quickly, I forgot to ask, like $5,000, what happens if she's going to get estimates and it's going to go 50,000 and then they want to apply for more? Is it a one-time grant?
Yeah, she can only it's $5,000 per project per year. So she wouldn't be able to qualify for another 5,000 next year for this project. So yeah, she'd be capped at 5,000.
James, I see Kay is here.
Yes. So Kay, that last item took a little while, so I apologize, but we have two more applications to get through, and then we'll be ready for you. So if I can email you to let you know when we're ready. If you're on the road and need to pay attention to something else, I can let you know. But I think we're good for the next item, Brian.
Item 7.3, 24 Gertrude Street. We have a permit application for an addition and alterations for the address. So Thomas is here, I believe.
Yep. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Take it away.
So thank you everyone for taking the time to meet with us today. I'm joined virtually today by the homeowner, Darren Arthur. He grew up here in Port Dalhousie, and after spending many years living elsewhere, he made the decision to return to the community that he always felt like was home. I'm going to try and not take up too much of your time. So rather than, because everyone's had the chance to review the plans, renderings, and heritage design brief, rather than walking through all the documents page by page, I thought I'd just provide a brief overview of the proposal and the design rationale behind the key decisions we've made. So the existing dwelling represents a typical Ontario vernacular cottage, that it's evolved over many decades through a series of additions and renovations. While its original front gabled form and overall massing remain evident, many of the finishes and architectural details visible today are a result of more recent alterations. And rather than creating an inauthentic historical appearance, our proposal seeks to thoughtfully build upon the home's evolution by introducing exterior improvements and enhance its longevity with a contemporary addition that provides functional, open concept living spaces better suited to a modern family life. Throughout the design process, careful consideration has been given to respecting the existing dwelling's character while preserving its contribution to Gertrude Street streetscape and the Port Dalhousie Heritage Conservation District. So we aim to preserve the front gabled form of the existing dwelling and maintain its visual prominence from Gertrude Street. We then wanted the addition to the right side to remain clearly subordinate to the original house by setting it back from the existing main gable. The original dwelling continues to be the dominant architectural feature from the street, while the addition remains compatible yet distinguishable in accordance to the Port Dalhousie Heritage Conservation District guidelines. The front porch was something Darren felt very strongly about. The existing enclosed porch is proposed to be replaced with a larger open covered porch that connects the home with the street. This opens up access to the existing front door and existing main floor window. The new porch is intended to become an extension of the front yard where family, friends, and neighbors can gather. Another design feature is the dormer incorporated in the side addition. Without it, the side roof would become a large uninterrupted roof plane. The dormer helps reduce the apparent massing of the roof while remaining secondary to the original dwelling. The existing rear addition is also proposed to receive a new roof structure, and this allows the roof slope of the past addition to better reflect the proportions and character of the original dwelling while creating a more dramatic vaulted ceiling within the future primary bedroom suite. So it's not reflected in the renderings, but it is reflected in the plans. One item that's not discussed within the design brief, but we felt was important to bring forward today, relates to the existing foundation. Following discussions with contractors and other trades, it is proposed that the existing parged foundation walls, which are assumed to be concrete block construction, be replaced with a new poured concrete foundation. In addition to replacing what appears to be a deteriorating structural element, this work will provide increased usable basement space and improve the performance and longevity of the dwelling. From the heritage perspective, the work occurs below grade and will not alter the appearance of the streetscape character of the home, but we felt it important to identify it at this stage. So our overall goal was to create a proposal that respects the existing dwelling, preserves its contribution to the streetscape, and allow it to continue evolving as a functional family home for future generations. So I thank you all for our time.
Okay, thanks. Do we have questions or comments about the proposal? Mark?
Yeah, I think it's a good design and it fits well in Port Dalhousie. I've seen multiple buildings just like it, and the design is tasteful. So that's all, just a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can just add one thing, one of the reasons why I want to temporarily lift the house and redo the foundation is obviously age, but to increase the square footage rather than doing a two-story addition on the right is maybe just a little it's the ratios don't match, right? So I want to keep a little more of an unassuming front look. And so having the square footage in the basement under the new addition and under the existing footprint of the original structure, which is the existing two-story, is what my goal was. So I'll still have plenty of space, but don't need to do a two-story in this rendering on the right. That's just an open vaulted, lots of light kind of coming through. So that again, that just was my intention. So the elevation of the home is not going to change. We would just lift it, do the work, and set it right back down at its existing elevation.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions, comments? Okay, well, not seeing any, then I guess we need to.
Rachel has her hand up.
Oh, does she?
Yep.
It's me
Rachel?
not using the feature as intended and just raising my hand because I'm lazy. No, I was just gonna say I just really like similar to Mark, it's more just a comment. I really liked the open porch. I think that's really nice, and I like the consistency between that and the addition as well. That the porch goes all the way through. I think that looks really nice, and that it isn't enclosed. So I appreciated that aspect. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Andrew?
Yeah, I like the design and everything as well. I'm just sort of curious. You've got that beautiful tree in the front yard there. Is that inherently going to disappear with this project?
Can you bring up that picture again?
Yep, just 1 second. I don't know if we have this picture here has, which tree are you referring to, Andrew? Is it this one here or the one on the right?
Just to the right of off the right side of that picture.
Okay.
Yeah, that tree is actually the one on the right is actually already been taken down. That had a rot in it. It was all rotten. The stump's still there, and the center of the stump's completely hollow. So I had an arborist come in and look at it. Basically, it was I think a cherry tree, but it was V'd off, two very, very large trunks kind of coming off, and it was kind of starting to separate. So when he looked at it, he said, yeah, he drilled in and looked at it and said, it should definitely come down. With it being right by the hydro wires there, and then obviously when they took it down, it's rotten in the middle.
Okay, well, thank you. That's
Yeah, but the stump is still there, and you can see you probably got about an 8 or 10 inch core that's just hollow. It's rotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I was just wondering because in the Google Street View, it's a nice looking tree, but I understand.
Yep.
Hollowed out stumps like that will make excellent planters for a garden feature.
So my landscaping intention is a lot of flowers, things like that, and some evergreen, and good separation for the neighbors and things like that. So it's not I'm not just going to do a bunch of rocks and things like that. So I have a bit of a green thumb, so I do want to have a lot of color and texture on the front, not just like a wall that's kind of open. So we'll have some height variations with some different plants. And I know the rendering that he showed just shows nothing there. To the left and to the right, I would most likely put something in there that's going to be more of a mid-sized vase shape, maybe a Japanese maple, things like that.
Get a service berry.
A service berry?
The service berry, a native plant.
Okay, I'm not too sure, but which one that is, I'll have to look it up.
The birds will love it. Lorraine.
If we're basically finished discussing it, I just wanted to say to Thomas how much fun I had reading his report. It was like a close exercise that I used to give the students in my class, where you had to guess what the words were in between because so many parts were missing. Did you see that? Did you notice that?
In my report item, I did it secretly just for you.
The EV really threw me till I figured it was evolution. Yeah, parts of the words were missing, so it was kind of fun.
Oh, I don't know why that might have come up. On my end, I can see it all, but
no, we couldn't.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the addition and alterations?
So it's just our typical, very basic motion that the St. Catharines Heritage Advisory Committee recommends approval of the addition and alterations to 24 Gertrude Street.
So Mark, you want to make the motion? Okay. Then all in favor? Okay. Guess that's done.
Great.
All right,
So
thank you, everybody.
Darren and Thomas, I'll be in touch tomorrow, talk about next steps.
All right, take care.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Item 7.4, 122 Deluzzi. We have an application for an addition and alterations to the structure. And Glenn is here to make a presentation.
Yes, I'm here with the owners and the builder, actually. Yeah, so at 122, we're doing an addition on the house to increase some square footage. The easiest part first is on the garage on the left-hand side. The garage is stepped back to meet the setback for zoning. The height of the garage is kept low so it doesn't go above the existing roof lines to try to keep the garage as minimal as possible. Moving over to the front of the house, the existing porch roof is being increased slightly in pitch to help take away a little bit of the way the second story is built on the house with a large blank space above the existing windows. We want to increase the existing windows to meet the proportion of a more traditional size of a 3x5 double hung window. And the original windows have been changed out and are, I feel they're not in the exact locations they were originally. So we're looking at to try to more proportion out the front of the house to what we think it was, or it should have been at that point. The addition on the right-hand side, what we're doing is a change in materials to mimic that we've set the building back. That way, we're also sloping the roof back. It does peak 2 feet higher than the existing roof, but it's at a distance of 9 feet back from the original peak. So you really will not see that the addition on the right is higher than the existing roof. And the reason that's happening is we're trying to have a proper 8-foot ceiling on the 2-story part of the addition at the rear. We kept it 1 story at the front and a 2-story at the rear, and to make the height work with a standard roof, that's the height we come up with that way. Basically, we're trying to keep the symmetry of the front and not have the additions be as forward as possible on it. And then you guys want to add on to that too?
I'm not sure what to say here, but I just I've lived in this neighborhood. We moved here in 2001, and I've always respected the heritage designation and supported everything that Carlos did and everything like that. So we want to be sure that we are as consistent with the protocols as possible. Do you want to add to that? No, what we're hoping for is a plan that would adjust the current residents in a way that accommodates our needs as we go forward. It's not a house with a lot of square footage, but we have children who we hope will bring children home. We also work at home, and so we need increased office space. Right now, we have very limited room for our homework. I've been in the basement for 25 years, and I'm quite anxious to get out. And we're hoping that this is a solution to that problem. Overall, I think we feel that this plan respects the existing structure and character of the houses around us and the neighborhood that we're in. You have something to add to that?
Just that we had some constraints because we wanted to just maybe enlarge the principal rooms without having to do the sort of shotgun idea where you just sort of build out the back. And so this plan allows us to make our kitchen a little bigger and our living room a little bigger, and to add a very small room, bedroom / office, and a 3-piece bathroom, and without having to basically abandon the space in the existing house and then build all those rooms out the back, which we were trying to avoid. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Do you have questions or comments about the proposal? I had one question about the windows on the existing house. You thought that they were not original or moved or something. Um, to me, they almost look like they are contemporary with the house.
Mhm.
So are you talking about enlarging these openings, or what exactly are you doing with these
They're
windows?
approximately the same height. We're looking at about making them, I think it's about 4 to 6 inches
Yeah.
wider.
Just to make that 3x5, which is the colonial, traditional colonial windows are 3x5, so it could be original with the house, but I think historically they would have been maybe not consistent with the era, you know.
I'm like I said, I'm just looking at the trim and the size of them. That I think they're originals. At least they look that way to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rest of the committee thinks about that.
The inside
James,
of the
what do you
house is
think?
renovated.
So I think the surround to me the surrounds are because you can see similar surrounds up here as well. And so I think the size and the shape and the actual windows themselves inside I believe are probably either vinyl or aluminum if not mistaken. The owners can probably chime in on that, but those aren't original wood windows as far as I'm aware. But the surrounds to me look like what you would probably see from that era. But
In the
uh,
1870s, maybe, yeah.
I had a question in my notes about you had said somewhere that in the plan was to have more traditional size windows, and I wasn't quite sure what exactly you meant by that. And I know you mentioned something just re
oh, Lorraine, I think you've cut out.
oh,
You cut
oh
out just
dear.
for a second, so I think
Okay.
you're good now, though.
Okay. So basically I was wondering, because I noted several times more traditional size windows, and I as well thought they looked just like my grandparents' size windows. So I thought the size was the same. So I wasn't quite sure what you meant by traditional, if this isn't traditional.
Just meaning that somebody's replaced those windows and it seems to be they've kept getting a little bit smaller as they've done it. They're retrofit windows. Yeah. So we'd be getting closer to the size of what was probably there, extending them out.
So
That's
by
all.
traditional, you mean back when this house was built? That you're placing with what you think would have been there?
I'm thinking like a traditional salt box would have a colonial window, which is 3x5, right? That's what I'm saying, but I don't know for sure that they were what they were originally. I'm just saying, I think it would look better with a colonial window.
Okay, I was just trying to get at the understanding of traditional. I as well agree with Brian. I don't think that they're old windows necessarily, but I thought they were the same size as I would have seen it like my grandparents' house or great grandparents' house. Okay.
I mean, I'm hesitant to, have those window openings altered because I think those frames to me look like something from possibly the 1870s. So, I mean, you can pop certainly new windows into there, but I don't know that we should be eliminating that trim or altering the openings.
So I'm a builder. As a builder, what's happened inside that house is you have the original window jambs, and then you have the retrofits set inside of it. So it actually allows the rough openings allow for a larger window. We took out the original jambs. That's basically what we're trying to get at here.
So just to
Retrofit
clarify,
windows slide directly into it's. I'm not sure if anybody's aware of what a retrofit window is, but they're a vinyl window that essentially sits inside an existing frame. The original frame isn't necessarily removed from the original wood windows.
so just to clarify for the group, and I didn't catch your name, I'm sorry, but Steve, sorry, was it Steve?
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, so it sounds like what you said there was that the original surrounds, so like the shape, size, like this is fine, but there's been interventions that have been done over time that have made the actual glazing area, like the space where the window actually fits in, is smaller. And so the proposal is to retain the actual size and shape of the surround, but to replace it with a newer window that provides more glazing. Is that am I summing that up correctly?
Exactly.
Okay, because I think the issue that happened, that's the confusion that's happened, and I think is because of the notation on here where it says enlarge existing window. I think that's and because the shape of the window here, where it's got the flat lintels and sills, I think that is causing maybe some of the confusion. And perhaps I'm not sure if that's how the rest of the group feels, but I think that's maybe what's happened.
Okay, so if the surrounds are going to be kept that are on the building now, then I don't have as much of an issue with it then in that case.
Typically, we would be reflashing around them. Yeah. Once putting in a new window, it's going to require a new brick mold to put a new window in. Yeah, I mean, the plan is to reclad the building, and being it's a heritage area, but it's not a heritage building. So we're trying to keep the feel of the area, but I don't see keeping that trim as an important part of the house. Because I mean, I would be hard pressed to think that's the original trim. Yeah, definitely can't be the original trim. It's aluminum trim. It's made out of aluminum. Yeah.
So sorry, the actual window itself is aluminum, but the trim around.
No, the flashing around the window would be aluminum.
The flashing around the window is aluminum?
Yeah, that's right.
Right, okay. I'm just seeing if I can pull up a better photo of the building, because this one's a little grainy and not great. So
yeah, because I thought those surrounds were like wood made out of wood or something.
No, just paint it brown.
Yeah, you can see it in the Google Street View, James, if you zoom in. It does appear to be aluminum. And
yeah, that's I'm going to pull it up on the screen right now.
But I'm not sure you can properly investigate what's there in terms of original material until you remove that aluminum, and if that's a reflection of the original shape and style, I think that should be retained.
Typically, the last homeowner that would have platted that house, inserted those windows, would have reflashed all of those windows. And in my opinion, I would say that's probably done in the late 80s, early 90s, based on the style and the color. So they've been replaced. We're looking to expand the actual glazing width of that while keeping the original, or as close to the original rough openings.
Yeah, I mean, expanding it as much as you can within the original enclosure makes complete sense. It's just hard to evaluate with that cladding over top of it, and when you work with a heritage building, that's the reality. Every layer you remove comes with surprises and sometimes a refocusing of your perspective. And I just think once you remove that, you may see something there that ought to be retained.
Right.
So
or you may not.
Clarification, are you seeing this as a heritage building? Because it's not a designated heritage building.
It is a designated heritage property, yes. It's
Yeah.
designated under Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act as part of the Port Dalhousie Heritage District. And because of its age, it's a contributing heritage property as well. Anything older than 1950 is considered contributing in the Heritage District.
Okay, do we have other questions or comments?
Yes, the the windows are sort of a lesser concern to me than the addition on the right side for two reasons. One being, typically we ask that an addition like that be set back from the facade, and then also the roof height. Now, I think you have a good point there that the perspective from the sight lines from the road will really address the height issue. So that's one consideration, but I certainly would prefer to see it set back from the front of the house the way the garage is. That would preserve the presence and of the original house better. And I understand from the report that you've tried to address that by using different materials and so on, and that is does accomplish that to a degree. But I do think if we refer to the guidelines, it should be set back from the front of the house.
Other questions, comments? Mark?
Yeah, I do agree with Andrew there. It's I don't know, there's something about this design. I don't know if I can get my opinion really. It just seems it's an odd addition on that right side, especially. And I think the setback would help that a lot.
I would agree with both those as well. That isolates if you isolate the front, it looks like it contains more of that heritage appearance. Whereas now it's just it looks like one long building.
Yeah, we've tried to set that right side addition apart by changing cladding direction. Rather than the board and batten that's on the original structure, we've gone to a horizontal cladding and then stone on the lower half. Is there another way around that you could suggest without losing the space that we're looking for? We're totally on board with obviously trying to comply with what the neighborhood suits. But we also are trying to achieve the goal of not losing the space that we're looking for.
I think Mark has his hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is inside detail, but is that going to be a vaulted ceiling? You could potentially make it a vaulted ceiling to get the headspace instead. Having a flat ceiling that's just 8 feet or 9 feet or whatever.
But which area are you talking about?
The right side addition, if you're looking from the street.
Yeah. So that's the main floor plan here, and then the second floor plan is right here on the right.
Yeah. So there's no vaults. There's a second story above the living room.
Yeah. So immediately behind the wall. So the first story, because the front of the building is a one-story, essentially looks like a one-story addition, has a proposed office and proposed washroom there. And then there's no second story above that portion because the roof is too low. And so it does slope back towards the back. And as it gets more room, there's a staircase here that will allow access up to the second floor. And so that's essentially, if the side addition were to be pushed back, they would lose the proposed washroom and proposed office space in order to maintain proposed office and staircase, essentially.
Yeah.
Did I describe that accurately? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, we've struggled a lot with this design because we have so many constraints.
Let's see.
I guess my comment on that is sometimes you can't fit a square peg in a round hole, and I'm not sure that we should be compromising on the guidelines to facilitate that.
Mm-hmm.
The proposed office on the second floor, couldn't the proposed office on the first floor become part of that? That's a huge room. That's a huge office. Again, we shouldn't be commenting on the inside, but that would be my first thought.
So we want to be able to live on the main floor. So the office is actually going to be potentially a bedroom for us if we need it.
As they grow older.
Okay, so you can't share that or subdivide that proposed office on is that the second floor?
Yeah, second floor is on
Yeah,
the right
yeah,
here, and
yeah.
first floor is down here. So
Okay.
everything in black essentially is what's being added. You can see the black outlines here on the
Mhm.
floor plan, and then on this side as well, the black here is what's being added.
So
And
how
the
much
office space
how much of
on
a
the second
setback
floor
could
is, sorry, I was gonna say the office space in the second story, it seems large, but it's a space big enough that he needs to accommodate what he needs for his office space for a desk and storage and everything. It's yeah, it's the size that he needs.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if everybody can see what the dimensions are on this office, but it's
Mhm.
17, almost 18 feet by 11 and a half feet, essentially, up here. And then there's the staircase here as well.
how much of a setback could you have if that proposed washroom on the main floor was reduced in size? Like, how much wiggle room do you have to push it back so the main part of the house, the heritage home, is differentiated?
So the dimensions that are noted here, just so everybody is on the same page, it's about a little more than 7 feet wide and a little more than 9 feet long. So you're looking at a 7 by 9 washroom.
Yeah, it's not a huge space because the other is the jog would put a jog in the proposed office on the main floor. So if you took it back a few inches, you're gonna get this awkward jog versus keeping the walls flush.
We've also taken into consideration that we'd like to remove as little foliage trees that are in the area. Clearly, old trees. We want to keep as much of that as we possibly can. Jogging that would force us to set it back further back to be able to maintain the space that we want. So we're trying to do this in a way where we're also being friendly to the environment as well.
Other questions, comments? No. Okay. If there's nothing else, and I guess we should make a motion about this.
Yeah, so is the motion, our standard motion obviously is to recommend approval of the addition and alterations to 122 Dalhousie Avenue. Based on the comments that have been made, are there any changes that anybody proposes to the motion?
Is that the limit of our options, or can we
Well,
request
we can.
revision?
Sorry, Andrew, I didn't catch. I interrupted the last little bit of that.
Just saying, or can we request a revision that includes a setback of the?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we could do is what we've done in the past when there's been these types of issues is we've put conditions in saying conditional upon a step back from the front addition, or I'm not sure if there's issues with when we were discussing the windows before, but those could be embedded in the motion to that way it provides the owner and the architect some guidance on what they need to do to be able to get their approval. And then that would just be handled by staff. We wouldn't have to bring them back to the Heritage Committee in the future. I would just make sure that the intention of the motion's been met.
Mark?
This does seem like something that might need to come back, in my opinion.
I would agree.
Because a setback, okay, like the contractor, I forget his name too, or I'm not sure who that is actually.
I think it was Steve was the contractor.
Steve, yeah,
yes.
he mentioned a 2-inch setback. A couple inches, I think, was what he was saying. So if that's the setback, then I don't know. I don't know if that would be enough, right? Yeah, I think this might have to come back with a big change like that, right?
So we do have the option as well to defer to next month. Obviously, the applicant has heard the concerns from the committee, and they can sit down and it might be might take a design exercise on their end to be able to see if they can come up with a solution that meets the intention here, and then have them come back in August. We do our next meeting, just for everybody is 4 weeks from now. It's August 27th. So gives you a couple weeks to kind of think it over and think about whether or not there's any sort of changes you could come up with that might satisfy the committee, and then we can bring you back. Does that work? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you'd prefer to have approval today, but it doesn't sound like the committee's ready to make that based on the current design.
So, do you guys want to come back to the next committee, or how do you want to proceed now?
The other option is, I mean, you're always able to the committee we can have the motion passed, or the committee would vote on the motion essentially, and if they didn't, the plan as is, and if they did not approve it, you're always welcome to appeal. The appeal goes to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but that would be obviously a greater discussion. But if you think that there's wiggle room in terms of design options, I think the committee is happy to bring you back and have further discussion and try to work with you to find something that works for everybody.
So just on that point, James, can I just say that my understanding was that it would go to City Council and then it would go to the Land Tribunal. Is that correct?
So staff, and by staff I mean myself and our director, have the ability to approve heritage permits. I can discuss the idea of bringing it to council with with my director, if our director feels that she shouldn't make the call on it, or if there's a request to bring it to council. I'd be happy to bring that up as well, but she's not in this meeting right now, so I'd have to bring it to her after this.
So I'm confused because when I did my research, I was basing this on section 5.3, additions and alterations to non-heritage building. And I went through the list of heritage buildings and it wasn't listed there. 122 was not listed there. So I was basing my understanding of fitting in with the neighborhood and following the section 5.3. And now you're telling me that you're basing it on the idea that my house is a heritage building.
Yeah, so I can, if you want, I can put up on our screen. We have our list of heritage properties that's on our website. All these properties are designated under either Part 4 or Part 5, falling under, in this case, falling under the Port Dalhousie Heritage District, and 122 Dalhousie Avenue is noted as being designated on here. Every property that's in Port Dalhousie Heritage District is a heritage property under the Heritage Act. Even something that was built yesterday is technically in the Heritage District and designated. They all have different rules to follow, but in the guide.
Heritage District, but there are heritage buildings and non-heritage buildings. Is that correct?
Yeah, and non-heritage buildings are anything built 1950 or more recent. So anything older than 1950 is considered a contributing heritage property, and that's outlined in the guidelines.
Does it matter that we moved into Port Dalhousie before the Heritage District? Are we
No, all owners that, whether you bought in, whether you're somehow original day one Port Dalhousie resident or you bought yesterday, everybody, the Heritage District applies to everybody.
Andrew, question, comment?
Just in terms of how to proceed, I think that we have a responsibility to, try to facilitate a route forward, an easy route forward as possible. And for me, that would be to have a motion that gives some parameters that then gives the discretion to staff. So from my perspective, the height issue I'm fine with, given the perspective. The windows I think we've addressed, and if the enclosures are being kept. So it's really the setback. So if we were to pass a motion saying, conditional on, a setback, comparable to or close to that of the garage on the other side, then if that's our one condition, if that condition is met, that can be cleared and they can move forward with this project more easily than leaving it vaguely open and then having to come back to another meeting and so on. I just think we're giving the best opportunity to move forward with this quickly that we can, while still fulfilling our responsibility to observe the guidelines.
Good point.
Mark? Oh, sorry, Brian.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I think if they did, perhaps also just maybe a redesign with a heritage perspective in mind. I don't think that was considered. You didn't think that it was a heritage building. If you just look at it with another lens, with a heritage lens.
Obviously. So we did try to make an effort on fitting in terms of style and design. However, obviously on the right-hand side, without we don't really have the option for a setback. However, if you look at the neighborhood directly across the street, there was almost no effort with the apartment building that's almost new, probably within the last 10 years. So, you know, we've made a further effort, I think, on what we're trying to propose versus what many of the neighbors have. There's a brand new structure right next door as well. That is in no way it's a modern design. We're trying to bring something forward that at least suits the neighborhood and the heritage community.
From that perspective, if we don't give our approval and you choose to take this to staff or to council with our objection, then you know my advice to you would be to collect precedents that support your approach. You know, that is part of this. That's all your prerogative.
Yeah.
And certainly,
Andrew, can
I know there are some.
ask a question? Oh, sorry, I just wanted to be sure I'm clear on something. You say the setback on the right side of the building has to be the same as the garage. Did I hear that correctly? Or is it has to be the same as that? Or can
I would ask for some clarity from James on that as to what the recommended setback is in that case. I was using the garage as an example. But what is the recommended setback for a situation like this, James?
So in the past, that it varies. Every project's different, but if we look at even just the previous proposal that we just deliberated on, so if we looked at this project here, their setback was very small. I think it's 4 feet. It's not the 9 feet that the garage is set back from. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the site plan to. Yeah, so the setback that was proposed for the Gertrude property was 4 feet essentially. So not as significant as the 9 feet that the garage here is being set back. If I'm not mistaken, it's 9 feet.
Yeah, and is 4 a minimum?
Yeah, it's almost 9 feet. It's 8'10" is the 8'10" is the setback of the garage. I think there's probably flexibility to not go that far based on you know the committee just approved something on Gertrude that was 4 feet. I think that and when I brought it up with the applicant, I said 4 to 6 feet I think generally is what we've typically in the past been able to work with, and especially in this case because they've tried to set the massing back as well. That obviously is something to factor in too. So, and which is similar to what happened on Gertrude. They set their massing back as well. So their design has the massing kind of shifted towards the rears to try to limit that impact on the front. So I think it's similar ideas. It's just this one doesn't have that small setback right here that the Gertrude property has.
James, are you familiar with 106 to Lucy?
106 off the top of my head, I'm not, but I can pull it up on Street View and then I'll probably be reminded of it. And I can show it to the group. Just 1 second. So this is 106 to Lucy here.
Yeah, I think
Oops,
that's,
sorry.
I don't know, I didn't measure it, but I think that's like almost negligible.
Yeah, I'd have to.
It's like a little bit on the second floor, but on the main floor, I think it's almost.
Yeah, it looks like they have a little notch here, and then on the second floor they've obviously set it back
floor, but
further.
we also have it set back on the second floor. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms
was that
of
a renovation or was that a new build though?
I'm just going back and looking. So this is what the house house originally looked like in 2016. And then by 2022, and I'd have to do some more digging to find out exactly when this was approved by the committee.
So
it is a renovation, and again, I would put that on your list of examples of precedent examples. But at the same time, for me, I think if we just approved a 4-foot setback, that's what I would ask for. And if there are examples in the past where a lesser setback has been approved, I don't feel compelled to set new precedents by repeating past mistakes. I don't think, my interpretation of the guidelines are what they are, and just because there are exceptions doesn't mean we need to compromise. However, you may find it, you're able to convince council to do so. We are just an advisory group, and we don't make a lot of decisions. We advise. So for me, again, I understand your point about that being a precedent. It doesn't change my position at all. I would be willing to, support a motion to approve this with the condition of a 4-foot setback, but I think that would be my limit. And we're already compromising on the height and to a lesser degree on the windows. And in order to try to facilitate this and support what you're trying to do, but that's the limit of my ability to compromise.
Okay, thanks, Andrew.
James, can I ask one more question?
Yep.
Do
Sorry.
the new builds in Port Lucie, do they go through Heritage?
They do, yes. So all new construction goes through Heritage Committee.
Could you show us 77 Lucie?
Sure.
That was just built, brand new.
So I will say that new builds have different guidelines. So they would go under section 5.6 of the guidelines document. So they would be addressed very differently than what an addition to a contributing building consists of. I'm sorry, what was the number that you said? 77?
77.
77, okay.
So if we want to demolish this building, we could have it flat across the front.
You would have to get, in order to demolish the building, you'd have to get approval from council as well. And that would also require a heritage impact assessment. And so there's some other hoops that you'd have to jump through to go that route. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I have 77 correct.
May just be an empty lot if Google Street View isn't up to date.
Yeah, just trying to find street numbers or house numbers on these houses. They tend to hide them for some reason. Sorry, I found it.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach to threaten us with demolition because you don't like our reinforcing the
It's not meant as a threat.
the thing.
I mean, it's
No,
right?
that was you
Yeah.
cannot argue that I'm out of line taking that as a threat at
No, I
all.
just think it's our money and it's an investment for us. So if we're not getting value out of our investment, then we'd have to make a different decision. I don't know what that would be, but you know what I mean. Like it's not a threat. It's just a fact.
Well, but then you made a bad investment by not understanding what you were purchasing. Then that's your problem, not ours.
And if we're going to call up all these examples of new builds, we have to keep in mind they have a different set of requirements. So we could be here all day looking at new builds, but they aren't the same requirements as what we're asking of a contributing designated building that you have.
In addition, getting a permit to demolish a contributing heritage building is not easy to do. If you want to try to do that, I think you're going to find that's a lot harder road than trying to work with us on this on what we're saying to you.
So Andrew, I just wanted to say in terms of the perceived threat, it's always been a concern with us with our house that whoever buys it from us is just going to tear it down. Because to many people, it looks like a tear down. So we're really trying to avoid that quite sincerely.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of that.
So the concern has always been with us that if we invest money in our house, the next people who buy it will just tear it down, like that it's not worth it because it looks like a tear down. The person who bought the property beside us tore the house down and built a new house. And as you can see, that's what's happened with a lot of these homes. So we're not saying that we want to tear our house down. We're just saying that, you know, for us to invest in an old house, you know, it's a bit of a risk financially for us, right?
So it's definitely a heavy investment, and to consider doing that much of an investment into a renovation remodel versus something like that is definitely a step showing that they want to move forward on preserving the heritage district.
That was the first conversation that we had with Stephen Glenn is it worth it to fix this house up or should we just start from scratch, right? That's not a threat that just came up at this meeting. That was a consideration from the beginning.
And not to belabor the point, we have 5 adjacent properties, and in I think the last 15 years, 3 of them have been torn down and replaced by new structure. So we've lost sort of heritage feel of our immediate adjacent properties. So.
Usually if a house is given permission to be demolished, it's because there are severe structural issues in the house.
This has become something that many of the neighbors have allowed their properties, they purchased them, allowed them to become dilapidated intentionally so that they can tear it down.
Yeah,
absolutely, and that was the point that I was going to make, which is you're calling this a tear down. If it is, it hasn't always been a tear down. It became one through neglect, and either you've neglected it or you purchased one that was neglected, which means you didn't do your due diligence, and that's on you.
Just looking
Either
at
way,
it through the eyes of
that's not our problem. That's
living in
your
the
error.
Sorry.
We're not here. We have a specific job to do.
Yeah.
You know, we have specific direction as to what our role is, which is very limited in advisory capacity, but nowhere in our directions we've been given is to protect you from making investment mistakes. I'm sorry, we're not here to protect your investment dollars. I wish you well. I'm sorry if this doesn't come out well for you, this investment, but you can't visit that on us.
One quick thing. So I just saying something over here. If you're willing to accept the condition and set that versus the plan, I'll make it fast. You know, but they can go to the next one. That's just,
It's very easy. Consider the setback or don't consider the setback and put this to a vote. The people here may disagree with me. I've been voted on the committee many times. You could take it then to staff and they may approve it or they may say no, and then you can take it to council and they may overrule all of us and say yes. And if they say no, you can take it to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and they may overrule everybody and say yes if the city says no. Those are all of your options. To me, the easiest one is to try to find a 4-foot setback. You may not get everything you want, your perfect interior setup, but that's your easiest route. It's your cheapest route too. But that's just my advice, which, you know, you can take it or leave it. And that's, you know, not as a heritage committee member, that's as a property owner and a property, you know, I have investment properties as well. So I get it, but the easiest path is, you know, the one I think is the one we're offering you. But if you think otherwise, then you have a whole lot of options on your plate. But you know, hey, roll the dice. It may be 5-6 to 1 against me. Maybe everyone disagrees with me. You know, I'm the black hat guy sometimes, and it feels like one of those days. You know, but okay.
I think
Let's just move this to some kind of vote and get on with it, you know.
So I'll just chime in for a second. So we can put the motion forward. And it sounds Andrew. If we can put the motion forward, essentially, it sounds like Andrew's proposing a motion where there would just be a condition of setback, 4-foot setback. I don't expect that the architect and the owners would be able to just come up with a design off the top of their head that they feel really happy about. So perhaps it's a discussion that it sounds like your group can have and see if it works for you and if there is a solution that works or that you feel happy about. And then it sounds like the group doesn't require this to come back to the committee as long as the 4-foot setback is met, and staff then have the ability to approve it. If that's not met, or if you don't feel that that's possible, we can bring it to council for their approval, or I have to bring it to my director first, and then go from there. But I would walk you through that process essentially. So I'll essentially put the motion up on here on the screen. The applicant is more than welcome to, you know, have discussions and try to figure out, you know, behind the scenes what works for them, and we can have a discussion, you know, probably next week to be able to figure out what the path forward is. Does that work for everybody?
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't catch that. I'm really sorry. It's a little hard to hear in your room.
Yes.
Yes, you're good? Okay, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so I will put this up on the screen. Just hold on one second. And so, well, you can see that now, that the St. Catharines Heritage Advisory Committee recommends approval of the addition and alterations to 122 Dalhousie Avenue, conditional upon the inclusion of a 4-foot setback for the proposed side addition. Does that work for everybody? It's pretty straightforward.
Right side addition?
Right side, yep, I'm happy to add that. There we go.
Can we be a little more specific than that, because of the right is subjective?
For the residential side edition?
The east side.
East side edition, okay.
Yeah, good.
No, want to make sure everybody's on the same page. All right, so inclusion of a 4-foot setback for the proposed east side addition. And I'm just, for the sake of it, going to add residential living space. So that way everybody's clear that we're not talking about the garage that everybody's okay with. Okay, so I think, Brian, I don't know if you want to ask who wants to make that motion?
Yeah, who wants to make the motion?
I'm happy to make the motion as the board.
Andrew, thank you. So all in favor? Okay, I guess that's passed.
Yes. Okay, so Glenn and the owners, I'll be in touch tomorrow, and we can talk about next steps. But hopefully this will be kind of just one step in a process for us. So, but thank you for attending today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Okay, thanks. Moving on. Item 7.5, the ACO, the housing motion. I guess Lorraine and Kay is going to be doing this.
Right. Thanks, Brian. And Kay, thank you very much for your patience.
Kay isn't here right now.
Oh, well, she's in here. Oh, she's in here. Oh, okay.
No, I just sent her an email about 5 minutes ago to let her know that we were ready for her, but I don't know. Yeah.
And my apologies, but I'm gonna have to run to another appointment. I can't miss. So
With your black hat on.
I don't think I need it for that one, but I'm going to keep it just in case.
Can I also make a comment about the last presentation? Is there, do people ever ask us when they're doing these applications if there's anyone that, I know we're not really allowed to recommend, but recommend like a 2M, like a Lou, or like someone that's used to doing heritage renovations?
Yeah, so staff, we're not able to recommend anybody. That's just not permitted. So they're welcome to bring forward anybody they'd like. Oh, I thought that was Kay, but it's actually Adrian. Sorry, Adrian, I don't mean to sound disappointed that you're shown up, but so sorry, going back to it. Yeah, so staff aren't allowed to approve or suggest anybody. It's just not fair. What we have done in the past, if there's very specific questions about heritage properties or heritage buildings, or how to deal with a certain restoration, I have put people in touch with Mark and Andrew in the past because of their networks and because of their expertise, and that's helped in the past. But in terms of design, no, we don't have any sort of recommendations. I have in the past told people, if they've asked for recommendations, I've said, look at some of our previous applications that have been submitted, because those are usually companies that are used to working in Port Dalhousie and understand the guidelines. And so I think that's helped in the past in those cases. So yeah, hopefully that clarifies things, Holly.
So James, on the same line as Holly's question, the presentation before that, where it was a person asking for a grant funding. I'm wondering if there's some way that we can even mention that it's possible to bring a technical expert or an engineer or a contractor, because I think that presentation would have benefited much from a professional accompanying the person.
Yeah, and in hindsight, I completely agree. It's not something we've typically
No.
done but in this case, I think because this was such a kind of gray area, it would have been helpful. So I apologize that I didn't set that up.
Oh, no,
but,
no, I'm not asking for apology. I'm just thinking,
yeah.
after listening to that one, I thought, I think we need to rethink this a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it's such a unique case, right? And so the questions that come up are things that, we try to rely on, like Rachel was bringing up the actual scope of work that they provided us, right? And that was pretty detailed, but to read all that and digest all that and incorporate that as part of the conversation can be a challenge.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah, no, it's a good point, Lorraine, and I think in the future I'll try to be more mindful when we have kind of complicated applications like that.
Oh, thanks. And then while I have the floor, the D. Simeon presentation, actually not the presentation, but the documents he gave us. Did anybody else get one with parts of the words missing? Was I the only
Yes.
one? He
No,
didn't have any
no,
idea
it
what he's
wasn't
talking
just
about,
you.
but oh,
I
good,
think
good.
what must have happened was when I compiled the PDF, it must have had an error in it and I didn't catch it and sent it out without double checking that. So that's again on me. But yeah, the actual document they sent us originally was fine.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
so it must have been when I compile, because what happens is I basically compile everything that they've given us and put it into one PDF. And sometimes I have to manipulate things to make this file size a little smaller for everybody.
Right.
And in that case, I probably did a little too much to it, and it caused some errors that weren't expected. So in the
Sometimes it's
future,
from
though,
downloading too. Downloading causes that.
in the future, if you do notice that, just send me a quick email and say, hey,
Okay.
there's something's little wrong with this, and I'm happy to fix that. So
I
yeah,
thought
we
it
don't
was
run
from him, so
no, yeah, he looked a little confused, and I was confused as well. And I thought, oh, what
yeah.
did I do? So yeah, sorry about that. But in the future,
Okay.
this goes for everybody.
Sure.
If anybody sees anything that needs to be clarified, just let me know. I'm happy to make sure that it's fixed and rectified. So yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to introduce Kay even though she's not here? Or tell people about her or how I met her or not, or just wait?
Well, I'm
Or
wondering if
should
she's
we
not
move
here,
on?
we should probably move on, I think, and just
Okay,
invite
yeah,
her
go
next
ahead.
time.
Yeah, good idea.
Oh, she's here. There we go.
Oh, she's here. Oh, okay.
I'm going to step out, but I look forward to watching the recording of this. I'm very interested in this.
Okay.
That's also why I have my hand up. I have to get to an appointment as well.
Okay.
Yeah, same, unfortunately. I don't know
Oh.
if there's a motion associated with it, and we might not have
Yeah.
room for it, which
It looks
Are we
like
not?
you still have the 1, 2, 3.
Do we have
need
enough for quorum?
We need 5 for quorum. So
It looks
if
like
Brian, John, Bob.
I'm having difficulty sticking around.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to run off soon.
Oh dear.
How long will this take?
10 minutes, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say I'm just going to turn my camera off, but I can turn it on for the motion if that's all right. I am listening and paying attention. I just want to make sure.
What do you think? No. What do you think, James?
Well, I mean, Kay's here. Kay, so unfortunately today we've had a bunch of applications that have run a lot longer than usual. We don't usually, it doesn't go this long. So
I know, yeah.
a couple of committee members have to leave, unfortunately, and because our meetings usually only go about 2 hours. So we have we can try to go quick, but I feel like that doesn't give you the time that maybe requires for this type of topic. And we can invite you to come back next month, Kay. But I realize that you'd have to wait out 4 weeks again and we can put you right at the front.
Another 10 minutes.
Okay.
Mark, you can push it 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because James, what if we wanted to bring the motion forward to August council meeting?
Well, we would just bring it to as soon like the next one possible whenever they meet. So it could be September. It could be So
Are they having one in September?
That's a good question. The election would be pretty close to then, so I'm not sure when the last one is.
I think the clerk said something about I could be wrong. I don't want to quote her.
You know what? If Kay wants, like,
Let's
we
do
can
it.
just jump right into it right now.
Sure.
Adrian just messaged me to say that we don't need to worry about the last item. And so I think, you know what? Kay's here. Let's do it, and
Okay.
hopefully we can go through quickly. So sorry about that, Kay. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for your
contact.
Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience, Kay. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction of you. Okay. So, and where I met you. So KLG is the vice chair of the ACO, and I met Kay at the most recent conference, and this Heritage Advisory Committee talked about it last meeting. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but I met her at the conference that was held in Hamilton at the end of June. And she and I had a discussion about her support of what seems to be a very smart and practical way to save heritage buildings while increasing affordable housing. And James, I talked it over with James. James and I thought that you would all be really interested in hearing more about this. She's brought it to various councils and committees, heritage committees, and councils have made motions supporting it. And I thought it was, and James and I thought it was something that you would be interested in. So, Kay, I'm going to pass it over to you. Thank you.
Okay. And
Okay, you're cutting out.
be very clear.
Uh-oh.
Okay, unfortunately, we can't hear you very well. You're cutting out.
This is a,
Okay, I don't know if you can hear us, but we can't really hear you at all. It's cutting out quite a bit.
we're just going to stop. We're going to pull over and I can do this. And, can you hear me now at all?
Yes, you can hear you then, yeah, but before we didn't catch any of it. It's not a good day for technology for us, eh? Okay, we still can't hear you, unfortunately.
Oh dear.
Okay. Well, I didn't say anything, so here we go.
Okay,
so
well,
this
there
is
we
a
go.
proposal we've been working. So we've been working this, and okay, you're good. You can hear me now.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, we've been working on this. We submitted this as a budget recommendation.
Okay, you're cutting out again, unfortunately. Okay, we can't. Okay, unfortunately, we can't hear anything you're saying. Yeah, okay, sorry, you've cut out completely now.
And
Okay. Okay, I don't know if you can hear us or not, but we can't hear you really.
Yeah, it's really choppy.
It's
Oh dear.
And there she goes. She's gone.
Yeah.
It's one of those days, I guess.
Is this something that we should revisit? Have Kay come back?
I think we might have to, Lorraine.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to put together a little bit of information, send it out ahead of the meeting, or not, or just wait for Kay?
I think it's best just to wait for Kay. I think
Sure.
her presentation was pretty good and explains what's going on, but
And it's short too.
It's
So
not
that's
that
good,
long,
yeah.
yeah. So it's unfortunate that she's having trouble, but yeah.
So we're going to be hoping for a motion to bring this to council, just so you know, supporting what the ACO is doing, right? And so there are several buildings in St. Catharines that you can think of right away that would benefit from this. So that's what we'll be looking for in next month's meeting. Over to you, James. Or Brian.
If this is a time sensitive thing, could we call a special little sub meeting of the committee in between and just have the special presentation, vote on that, and then it can go to council next month?
We could. Let me just. I should have a calendar for when the next council meeting is.
Just because it's getting close to election time, right? So the press is on.
Sorry, I'm just trying to see if I can find the council calendar on their website.
I mean, could this be something that we could maybe piggyback on to the if our subcommittee meets in August?
We could certainly hold it that same day or that at that time, because we already have that time kind of set aside for half the members at least.
But if we put forward a motion, does that give you enough time to get it before council for the August
Well,
meeting? Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to look up to see if when council's meeting. So council meets. There might be a meeting on August 24th, but it's not supposed to happen, but they might need it as like an overflow if there's any sort of planning applications that require it. Because usually they only meet once a month during the summer. Otherwise, the next meeting after that is September 14th, which would be more likely to we could get it on the agenda. And then they still meet again on the 28th as well. So there's a couple opportunities still to get it before council before for the election. And I think as long as it gets on any of those, it's fine. I don't think it's an item that needs. I don't think we have to hold a special meeting to discuss it. Like I think we could invite her to come next month to the next month's August meeting, and
If she's available.
If she's available, of course. And if not, she's presenting because we were inviting her, but like we can always just circulate the information. And Lorraine, between you and I, we could probably present kind of the gist of it, and then make sure that motion's passed. Because I think it's something that the committee is in general, I think, will be interested in and want to see passed. So I don't have too many concerns about it passing. It's just more so about making sure the information's there. So. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll push it to August, and we'll reinvite Kay, and hopefully we can make it work.
Do we need to pass a motion about that?
Sure. We could just pass a motion to defer to August.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Lorraine, thank you. And all in favor of that? Done.
Thank you, everybody, for staying, though. Rachel and Mark and Robert.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll defer even though Adrian's still here, he messaged me behind the scenes that we'll defer the discussion about plaques for next year to next month as well. And then, hopefully we don't have as long of a meeting as next time as we had this day. So.
Do we need a motion for that as well, deferring that one?
Yeah, let's make a motion to defer that as well.
Okay, so who wishes to make that motion? I saw Rachel's hand go up first. So all in favor? Okay. So we don't have any miscellaneous items, no subcommittee updates, no correspondence. So I guess the next meeting is August the 27th at 2:30. So I guess we need a motion to adjourn. There's nothing else for today.
Oh, I just have one quick question.
Okay.
James, I just wanted to add something to next month's meeting. There was an article in the Niagara-on-the-Lake newspaper about Niagara-on-the-Lake heritage, and they make it like a special, almost like a ceremony for people that are recognized for their properties. I'm going to send you the article.
Okay. Yeah, we can bring it up at the next meeting.
I think the Niagara-on-the-Lake Heritage Committee is having a special weekend this weekend. I think there's a special event where they're having some kind of a festival, and people are going to be handing in old heritage items that you could pick. Remember we mentioned that a while ago, James? Yeah, they're doing something special. Maybe check the details if you're interested and available.
Isn't that the Niagara Historical Museum that's doing that? The Heritage Festival?
It could be. I know the Heritage Advisory Group is part of it. I was talking to someone from there. She was saying, I think they have a table there or something.
Yeah, that's the Niagara Historical Museum has a heritage event every long weekend like this. And it's like a glorified antiques roadshow sale type thing in the front yard of the museum, but they have other heritage booths there. It starts at 11 o'clock on Monday.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
And it goes through until 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
I'm going to try and go. One more quick thing. There was an interesting article, 2 pages in today's Standard. It was about the Heritage Waterworks water system. And there was a great picture of the DeQ Waterworks valve house, which was built in 1876, and it still stands. I'm just wondering if that ever had like a plaque or was designated. It's a great article. If anyone gets a chance
Is
to
that
look.
the structure where at the mill?
It says it's at the entrance to DeQ Water Works.
Oh, I think so. It's funny because the border for St. Catharines is like right there, basically, with Thorold. And if I'm not mistaken, I think part of the Waterworks property is actually in Thorold, and it's on in St. Catharines. So I'm wondering if this little building that you're referring to is on the Thorold side of the line. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. But I do know there's some quirky kind of lines on a map there in terms of where St. Catharines starts or St. Catharines ends and Thorold starts. So that's interesting. Thanks, Holly, for sharing that.
Okay, so I think we had a motion to adjourn. I think Robert had his hand up for that.
Mhm.
So all in favor, vote now. Done. Okay,
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you next month.
Next month. Yep.
Right.
Take care.